And we're live. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Holy Crap, the Vlogcast. Vlogcast that comes from a skeptical point of view to answer some of the questions of why, including why I can't talk apparently tonight. This Vlogcast started as a combination of spite and the Streisand effect because, well, you know, there's stuff that we want to talk about that's not always fun. And, well, if we have to go through the pain, we're going to share it. Sorry. Part of this is also to follow through with the old adage that sometimes the journey is more important than the destination. I'm your main host. I'm known as Shujin Tribble, pretty much everywhere. Under that name, you can find me, Shujin. It's kind of hard to miss me. Let me go ahead and introduce you to a currently truncated group. I guess we'll see what happens in a little bit. Top left-hand corner of the continent in outside of the tsunami warning area, fortunately. Good evening, Dalan.
Good evening. And now that you've said that, all the questions you asked me yesterday suddenly now make sense.
Mm. Down from there and just a little bit to the right, Midwest of the U.S. Good evening, Brigid.
Good evening. I'm also not in the tsunami area either.
Yes, but you're not nearly you're farther away than he is.
Way further away.
Yes. And across the pond over into Paris, France. Good morning, Joseph.
Good morning.
It's also quite a bit away from the tsunami areas.
No, it's just raining here, so.
Yeah. Could be pretty much the same thing. So for those of you that are kind of wondering, what the hell is he talking about? For those of you that didn't know, because at first I didn't, there was a couple of earthquakes up, Anchorage, Alaska way, just a couple of days ago. And it wreaked all kinds of havoc. And I got a text message on my phone from a friend of mine that lives up that way. And they sent the text message and said, just want you to know, we're okay. Everything's fine. And my reply to that was, question mark. Yeah, pretty much. So then I went ahead and I since I was at the computer at the moment, I did the whole Google machine and saw the thing and said, oh, okay. I'm glad you're okay. Good. Shit.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there was that. And because of that, there were tsunami warnings all down the coasts, both for Asia and North America. So, going all the way down to Australia. So keep that in mind.
And then after that, I saw a tweet. You know where this is going.
Go for it.
I don't know if it's real or not because the text that it was written in did not look authentic. But it was basically saying the dearly beloved 45 meme fuel for the 21st century basically said that Alaska was lazy and allowed this to happen because they didn't pump enough seawater into the fault line. Again, I cannot verify if this was true or not. If it is, you guys have to run.
Yeah.
Because you are infinitely more intelligent than the current commander-in-chief.
Well, we already knew that.
Okay, but if it's a troll or a Poe or whatever, you're not. That's the problem. Is that
let's troll Alaska and then listen for the sound of helicopter blades flying overhead when Palin's loading a rifle.
Yeah. But the bottom line is the content of the tweet was just stupid enough to make a person ponder, was it real?
I'm going to go with I was about to say probably not, but considering that we had one person talking to a military guy and asking him, look, if you've got all of the military personnel on one side of the island, is there a chance that it'll tip over? Yeah, I'm not going to put anything past it. But speaking, by the way, mystery voice, that would be down into Pittsburgh this morning. Good morning, Joseph. Joey.
Okay. Hey, sorry I'm late. I actually had showed up on time, but I turned around to pull something out of the oven and apparently forgot to just hit the join button that pops up at the black screen, right? Let's see. Click. Do you want to join this group? Yes. Please agree to this agreement here. Check. Okay. Hit yes. Are you ready to join the group? Can we just like cut that down to just one friggin' yes?
Yeah, I got you. We've also got the small problem that they may be looking at retiring Google Hangouts. So I'm not sure what's going on with that. I saw something about this. It said, 2020 is when they're going to be pulling the plug.
Yeah.
But I don't know what that's supposed to be in reference to, if it's just the chat feature, but they'll keep it for, us content creators. So we'll have to see what happens with that just yet.
Well,
I took a look at OBS to see if it has a solution. It kind of does and it kind of doesn't. If I read everything correctly, in OBS, you can create what's called a virtual camera.
Yeah.
But the virtual camera will then hook to Skype.
Yeah.
And we all know what happens after that.
Yeah, I know. We have to deal with we'll have to deal with it as we get a little bit closer. When I get a little bit more information, we shall see. By the way, for the record, you might remember I was talking about this the previous week, the Guinness Drach, which is perfectly fine because it's in the can. Actually, I just suddenly realized I'm looking at myself on the screen and it's wrong. I need to flip my camera. That's better. Now I look right to me. I mean, to me. Now, unfortunately, these don't come in single cans where I can get it, so I got a 4-pack. So this is number 3 because I actually had one last week.
All right.
I had a second one during the week in order to show the little one what the cascade looks like. If you've never watched what a Guinness looks like when it's pulled, it's a thing of amazing chemistry. It really is. It's something worthwhile to watch. But I figured, okay, whatever. Yeah, Joe, I know. You're looking at it and you're going.
Actually, right now I am examining. Since I pulled everything out of storage and it's all sitting just all over my apartment.
Yeah, I think I heard.
And the cat is currently laying atop the tallest pile because masters of all places that are up. But I am just currently examining the extent of dirt and rust and other such damage that I may have to address here shortly, because I am currently in my hand is the oldest firearm that I currently own. Not the one that I've owned the longest, but rather just the oldest.
And there we go.
This is a Harrington Richardson break top 32 short revolver, dated 1887.
Ooh.
And if you could see it right now, I don't even have a webcam hooked up, so I can't really show you, but
It's okay.
If you could see it right now, you would say, yeah, it looks the part, because this is a very old firearm. It is the oldest that I own. And I am going to be getting rid of it. I'm going to be selling it because,
Reasons.
Well, plain and simple. Thus far, I really don't go shooting anymore at the range. And when I do go shooting, I don't often shoot this. Namely because I don't want to tear it up any worse than it is. And, but it still shoots. And it's just a matter of, do I need it? Do I need, I believe currently I own directly on my person 5 handguns. This, I have a Ruger Security 6.357. I have a 1911 A3 45 caliber. I have a Heritage Arms 22 caliber single action revolver, and I have what is effectively a piece of shit. It's what most people would refer to as a dump gun. It's a Jimenez JA9 9mm semi-automatic compact pistol. Now, that one in particular, I'm probably not going to be able to sell, and I probably will just take it to somebody who needs some scrap steel to melt down, because one, it is a terrible firearm, even in a working condition. Two, I believe I mentioned on air the time that the local police department raided my apartment, thinking that, you know, they had busted some kind of underground gun running ring. Well, that was the firearm that I had been working on as far as cleaning and whatnot at the time that they arrived. And they picked it up while it was not fully assembled, and many pieces went everywhere. And not all of those pieces were recovered.
Well, damn. Well, on the bright side, somebody that needs spare parts has finally got somebody to get in contact with.
No, trust me. Anybody who's ever owned this thing hates it, and for very good reason.
Fair enough.
I'm pretty sure what's probably going to happen is I'm going to find somebody who does like some sort of backyard blacksmithing, and give him all the metal components and say, do something with this, but please don't let it continue its life in the truly just terrible form that it's in.
Fair enough.
Make a brick out of it for all I care.
Excuse me. So now that we got that all out of the way, welcome to the show, everybody. And of course, for those of you that are paying attention live, thank you. I did see you guys over there, so please take advantage of the live chat. Of course, as always, Trippin, see you over there. Stephanie, hi. I'm expecting a couple of other folks are probably going to show up momentarily, but we'll see how that plays out. As far as to the rest of the crew, I don't know. I don't know. I didn't hear anything from anybody, so they show up, they show up. They don't. It's okay. We'll have a good time anyway. Because, I mean, we shuffle off the dead weight, you know, we have a better time. So there we go. Something tells me the great God Murphy is probably going to bite me in the ass for that one of these days. But you know what? Details. And now that it's poured through and it's cascaded out, I still have a little left in the can because this glass is not quite a pint. But there we go. So I've got my drink for the night. And that fills out pretty well. Imagine that. So let me get everything rolling for you guys so we can actually have a talk for tonight. So where is my timer? There it is. So with 5 minutes on the clock for you guys, your 5-minute freestyle starts right now. Consensus. It's a beautiful word. I have all kinds of fun listening to people who just don't understand the concept of the term. Consensus does not mean that 100% of everybody agrees on a certain condition. It would be nice, but yeah, consensus could mean that. But much more typically, consensus means that the vast majority, the prevailing idea on a topic as agreed to by the majority of those who are exemplary, who are experts in a particular field of study, agree on something. And if you do not agree with the consensus, then calling you a fringe, especially if you are a quote-unquote organized fringe group, is not a pejorative. It is descriptive. Now, if you've got, let's say, 99+% of, let's say, astrophysicists who accept the model of gravity as we know it, which has been expanded upon and has been tweaked over the years past Newton's original laws. If you don't believe that gravity is a thing, to say that you are in the less than 1% of people who accept or deny gravity, yeah, you would be fringe because you are one very little speck in a much larger collection of people who actually understand this and study this and can explain it and can, I would like to say proof it, but I don't know that it's quite accurate. They can explain the models and they can show how they work and they can demonstrate. They can show that the experimentation shows it to be accurate. But when you are part of the fringe, the ones that do not accept, there can be reasons for that. And we understand that. I understand that. That's part of the reason why we've got the show the way that it is. Not everybody agrees on the same thing for the same reasons. And not everybody disagrees for the same reasons. Everybody's got a different look-see on how something is. But that's the beauty of this show's format. We do see, for the most part, most of the topic, and see, for the most part, what's going on. But we each have our own individual ways of interpreting that data to try to figure out, is there a piece that's missing? What do I know from my past experience? What have I seen? What have I heard? What have I experienced? I'm fast approaching, God, 39, 50 years old next year. And to use an old meme, I've seen some shit. Joey and Brigid have both been in the military. Joe's been in an active warfare area. Brigid is learned in the medical arts. Dalan in IT. Joseph, one of these days we'll figure out what the hell it is that he actually does. He does so many different things that are artistic, that are hands-on, that are reconstructing, that are working through problems that are, who only knows how old some of the equipment is that he's worked through in the apartments and whatnot that he's helped rebuild. And I know it's a sore subject, but we've all had something that has given us a different way to approach a question. And we don't always agree with each other. But when all is said and done, we try to figure out, are we looking at it correctly, whatever the question is? Sometimes it turns out we haven't. And that, for us, is one of the times where we understand the beauty of the skeptical method. Because when we turn out to have been wrong, when we turn out that we have been part of the fringe through no fault of our own, we revel in the opportunity to say, shit, what did I miss? Teach me more. That's the beautiful part about not being part of the consensus at first. But if you just continue to be part of that fringe because you think it's going to get you laid, dude, it ain't going to work that way. It's episode 238 on the docket, Your Honor. Magic. By any other name, would still smell as sweet. The idea is that we've heard too damn many times that people who are in the theist camps will go ahead and say that God, whatever that God is, whoever that God is, did it. Because that's what they can do. They are the ultimate programmer of the universe. But they don't call it that, and they basically say they just willed it into existence. Some people will get the idea of the some people get that. Tabitha. Some people understand that reference. But to call it a miracle, first off, we know full well that's bunk, and we're going to talk about that. But second, for you to go ahead and say it's a miracle, and to be upset when we say it's magic, yeah, you don't have a foot to stand on this one. So, we'll just deal with all that. One of these days, I'm actually going to get to drink some of this because I've got too much talking to do right about now. Anyway, since Heretic Woman is not here, no, she hasn't showed up. Real briefly, a minor update on Rafe Badawi. We don't have very much new information that's good. There are words, there are rumors, there are unsubstantiated information that says that the Saudi government might be looking to reinstate some of the rest of his whippings. Yeah. Now, unfortunately, we don't have any other information other than maybe, might, could, no idea when or how or where. So right now it's one of those, it might still happen. And truth be told, for the last for the last 6.5 years, we've known full well that they could have just gone ahead and done this anytime they wanted to, but they just haven't. So, yeah. Thank Allah for small favors, I guess, for right now. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But regardless, he is not out, which means, as of the recording of tonight's show, it is now 6 years, 5 months, 17 days since Rafe Badawi was unjustly incarcerated for thought crime. Our hopes, our thoughts are still with you and your family. And we're still waiting. And especially still waiting for my goddamn government to go ahead and stop arms sales because, well, we don't want to piss them off because that's a lot of money. Yeah.
It won't happen.
I'll just go ahead and just leave that there. And if anybody wants to go ahead and who's listening to the podcast wants to go ahead and see what just happened, yeah, we're about half an hour into the show, and there's another one in case you missed it. So there you go. We'll figure it out from there. Anyway, so who was over there? Tripp and Stephanie. Hi, guys. I will. Yeah, and Trippin was right. One of the ones was Flat Earthers. Yeah, that's one of the ones that. Yeah, I was thinking about them specifically. So, magic. Yeah, I'm not the only one that still remembers back when magic in the 70s and early 80s was a big thing where you had oh shit, I forgot what his name was. Doug Henning. That's the name I was looking for. Anybody remember the name Doug Henning?
Yep.
See, you remember he had a play in New York off Broadway. You have no knowledge of this whatsoever, do you?
What, the play? No.
Yeah.
I just remember seeing him on TV.
Yeah. Doug was to magic. I think the best way I can put this one. Doug Henning was to magic what Jim Henson was to puppetry. Mm-hmm. He was a very soft-spoken guy. He really reveled in the art, and he was a little granola crunchy, if you know what I mean. It was the 70s, so, but you know what I'm talking about.
Well, I didn't think he was too bad to look at.
No. He was not a bad looking guy. He was a little weird, but like I said, he truly had the love of the art, and it is an art. When you start to understand how so many different things in the magic circles work, it's really, really fun to look at stuff and go, okay, how did you do that? What did I miss? And you can find clips of the TV show Penn Teller's Fool Us. And you can see some of the clips of people who come onto stage who basically try out some of their illusions to try to stump, to try to fool Penn and Teller. And if they do, they get the opportunity to go out to Vegas and be on the show with them, which is pretty high praise, really, when you think about it. So, I've been to, oh my God, when the hell was that? That was the late 70s? Yeah, it's the late 70s when Doug Henning had his show off Broadway. My grandmother took me to go see it, and that was pretty damn impressive. Have any of the rest of you guys been to an actual formal magic show or illusionist show or anything like that?
Not in person.
I can't say that I have.
Not recently.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm also thinking about the little one and I were at the mall earlier today, and unfortunately, there's a shop that's just opened up that's all essential oils that you need. And do you need to boost your immune system and perk up your brain? And
I've never been to, say, a magic show, but I know a pilot who does a rather neat magic trick. He can make a tank disappear in about 1 second.
I don't. Considering that is easily discerned how that trick works, I don't know that one can quite be termed a magic trick.
Probably pretty impressive.
I'm just saying.
No, it's perfectly fine. I do believe that several of Newton's laws of thermodynamics come into play. That would sound about right, yeah?
I'm not sure any laws were obeyed, but
Well,
it depends on the kind of laws you're talking about. Now, if you're talking about, laws based on, the moral standpoint of the human race, probably not.
Joseph's third law of boom.
Now, when you start dealing with the laws of boom, the laws of explosions, inertia, expansion, heat,
a lot of heat, a lot of heat.
Yeah.
hey, since we're on the subject of laws,
Well, no, wait a minute, wait, because there's another one. I mean, there's the laws of thermodynamics, which is crap. Who penned those? Shit, I forgot. But there's also Bernoulli's principle, which keeps aircraft in the air. So you got that going for you. Anyway, I'm sorry.
but most importantly, one we have to keep in mind, particularly for the show.
Mm-hmm.
Clark's laws. Specifically, his first law.
Which is?
Does anybody here know what I'm talking about?
I don't know Clark's law. I know Cole's law, which is thinly sliced cabbage. Thank you. I was waiting. See, that's one of those.
Arthur C. Clarke's first law
Yes.
states.
Yes.
Would you be so
The
kind?
laws of robotics. No?
No, that's
that was
Asimov.
Asimov.
Oh my God.
Asimov. Sorry.
Asimov.
No, Joseph, you turn yourself off for a little bit. Joey, go ahead. Tell us. Good.
I was going to leave it open to you since you got the hat.
Why would I? What? No.
What does that hat have to do with anything?
Apparently, a lot with the Catholics.
It's the wrong shape.
Doesn't matter.
It totally matters. Look, if I were to take the hat off, if I were to say that my hat was like this, which for those of you that are listening, it's not going to make a hell of a lot of that would be Jewish, or I mean, being nice to the Jews if you're Catholic, but that's a whole other thing. No, this, I got 2 compliments on this hat, by the way, today. Anyway,
bishops get a hat, cardinals get a hat, the Pope gets a freaking papal tiara the size of a keg. God must be up there. God must be up there with a giant fucking sombrero.
it could be. It could be. That's your one.
But anyway,
so the rule is
Clark's first law is that any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic.
Yep. That's exactly right. Now, you don't have to go too far to try to figure out, well, what could that possibly mean? I'll start you off with something that is absolutely ubiquitous that nobody even thinks about anymore, and it's not what you think. No, it's not one of these. No, it's not one of these. It's infrared automatic sliding doors. We don't even think about them. We don't even think about them in terms of being, wow, shit, wait, that is a lot of technology, isn't it?
Use the Force, Luke.
Yeah, well, once upon a time, it used to be, yes, that you had to step on a mat, and your stepping on a mat actually triggered it. Now, nope. Now it's just the infrared sensor, and nobody thinks about that anymore. Damn, I remember when I was a kid and it was still a mat that you could actually, as a kid, you used to be able to stand like right next to it and just wait for the door to close and just step on the mat and just open up.
Oh, okay. If we're going down sensor row here,
sure.
How about this one? How about when you get on the bus to go wherever, your public transit?
So help me, if you say anything about round and round, I'm going to hurt you.
I'll leave that for Norwegian metalheads who do really good metal covers. Anyway, now we've all ridden on those public transit buses where, as you're paying your fare or as you're holding up the pass, the driver is there with the little clicky button. Click, 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 click to count passengers. Well, nowadays, they don't have to do that anymore. You open the door, the person gets on, and based on the direction they're going, the sensor above their head registers that as a board. When a passenger is getting off, say out the back door or out the front door, again, by registering the direction the person is moving in, it's registered as an alight. So the driver can tell at a glance on a screen how many people he's got on his bus without having to do a head count.
Makes sense. And funny enough, Trippin is saying, shoot, birds have even figured out how to use the door sensors to open doors. Yeah, if I remember right, there are some seagulls in Australia who would just go ahead and say, screw this, man. I'm just going to walk up to this here. Door opens up. Good. I want these chips. Grab and fly away.
That's great.
Fucking seagulls, man. That's my one. God damn it.
And who's going to pay for that? That's when the duck comes up. Affleck.
You know, don't do that to me. Don't do that to me. Not to, oh God.
It was one of those nights where you didn't have to worry so much about getting a table because you're just going to spend the night at home in chains.
I don't need this today. Thank you ever so much. You know, screw you, man.
Now on audible.com.
God,
50 Shades of Grey, as read by Gilbert Gottfried.
God. I really hope that was an awful rendition, because if I've actually got a good rendition of that voice, I don't want to know it. I like being able to do the Joker. I don't want to do it.
Is this wrong?
I could tell who you were doing, put it that way.
Oh, God. That's
I knew immediately.
Yeah, but you're old.
And? I was like, I told somebody, I was not going to tell my exact age, but they're like, well, how old are you anyway? And I said, well, I kind of graduated from MILF to Cougar.
Do what I do. Just say that you're 30. You're around 39.
Around 39. Yeah.
And then just have somebody who's your straight man just walk around you. Go, yeah, but ask him how many times around. There's a Jack Benny joke for you guys. Look it up. It's funny. Shut up. I know comedy.
Well, I thought the MILF to cougar thing was pretty funny too.
Yeah, it's well, it is. Felis, by the way, hi on. Felis is also saying science is magic explained.
Mm-hmm.
She is not. Wait, I missed what that last part was supposed to be.
I think she is not 39.
Oh.
No, I am not 39. Sorry.
Neither am I. I don't think. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, but science is magic explained is not a bad way of thinking about it. I mean, if you want to try to think about it in terms of what once upon a time, lightning was magic. Lightning was the gods. It was Zeus and Thor and Odin and the angels playing bowling in the sky. Yeah, I was told that one as a kid. Yeah, you remember that one too, huh?
Yep.
And I think I told you the one that a group of people who were trying to mock Socrates in Greece, ancient Greece. They wrote a play about him. It was not a very good play. In fact, it was a very bad play. I can't remember the actual dialogue of it, but the gist of it was this. A boy comes up to Socrates and says, "Hey, Socrates, what's thunder?" Socrates says, "Well, you know the sound thunder makes." Guys, yeah. He says, "You know the sound your stomach makes when you've had one too many puddings." And it's at this point my inner Monty Python kicked in and went, "Wait, are you suggesting to me that clouds fought?"
Well,
so, yeah, cumulonoflatulence apparently is another explanation for thunder.
And Stephanie, you know what? You know what? I'm not going to repeat it. And I'll tell you why. Because it's not for me to go ahead and tell everybody that you're over 60. I wouldn't do that. Oh. Well, I didn't say exactly how old, 66. And that's her own damned fault. So, you know what? Screw you. No, this is not the alcohol talking because I haven't had nearly enough. This is all I've had so far. So, no, there's no alcohol really at this point.
Hey. 66 is an incredible number in the United States.
Why?
Route 66?
Thank you. A road which I have been on a couple of times on my head.
Technically it doesn't exist anymore, but there are still portions of it.
There are portions of it, yep. There's one that leads just out of Oklahoma City. It was on that one for a bit. Went and had dinner at one of the coolest restaurants I've ever seen. At least if you like soft drinks. When you can walk into a place and there is over 150 different brands of soft drink from which you can choose. Now, grant you got your colas, of which there are about 20. Root beers about 40. Ginger ales about so many. So it's not like you're getting like 150 different flavors. You're just getting 150 distinct brands making up several of your common themes.
That's fair enough. Very cool. Very cool. But that in and of itself is also another piece of it all. The idea of being able to travel the way that we do is something that once upon a time was not even a consideration. Every time mankind has been able to journey to somewhere new, other than under his own locomotion, new technology has come along. Once upon a time, it used to be just walking and running. And then you were able to have domesticated animals start taking you around. Now, I might be getting which came first, a little bit screwed up, but just go with me on this a second. And then if you decided that you wanted to go across that lake, but you didn't want to have to go around that lake, well, now you need a new type of technology. Yeah, you could swim, but, that's kind of slow. You make a boat of sorts. All right, well, that's a new form of technology. And then eventually you find a way of, I don't know, locomotion with that, like with a paddle or a stick. And then eventually, well, you need to go even further than that, but farther, but still on land. Okay, well, how about a cart? Well, carts get pulled by animals. They're not nearly fast enough, and well, we can use a steam thing to make us go faster or pull more and have trains. And eventually, well, that big lake over there is just even too far for all of that. So let's use this new aircrafty thing and get across. I know. I'm missing hot air balloons and all that stuff. Leave me alone a second. But you get the idea. New levels of technology have allowed humanity to move into further and further areas. Finally getting us up to the J1 engines and, well, Apollo 11 and, well, not there at the moon anymore. And, screw you, NASA. Screw you. I know it's not NASA's fault, but, whatever. But the idea of being able to harness the power of the air itself in order to propel these, rockets, just using hydrogen and oxygen and reacting them, who would have ever imagined that we've got just surrounding us all of what we need to get these monstrous pieces of technology completely out of the Earth's atmosphere and to a whole other planet, and then some.
But the sad thing is, like in particular, I think in the case of a rocket, I mean, originally that was supposed to be a weapon.
Yep.
This is the really sad thing, is that a lot of the stuff that we take for granted today was originally designed as a military application. GPS, radar, rockets, satellite imagery, all of that stuff.
Yep. And
it was all originally designed so that we could kill the bad guy.
There was another piece about that also, which was, believe it or not, the meta, the esoteric act of actually developing the calculations in order for something to be launched fast enough to orbit the Earth. As you might remember, once upon a time, there was a guy that came up with the idea that if you shoot something hard enough, it's going to land over there. Okay, but if you shoot it much harder, it's just going to keep going out. But if you hit it just the right amount of thrust, it'll go out that way, curve all around the Earth, come around and hit you in the back of the head. And
just ask Bugs Bunny.
Well, no, because Mel's dead. I'm sorry. I know other people have taken over Bugs Bunny's voice. It's Mel or nothing. I'm sorry. I know it's dead, but I mean, come on. It's Mel. But that's a whole other thing. But just learning how all that stuff works. Trial and error, and eventually saying, okay, this works. Where once upon a time, the gunpowder, aka angry sand, who knew? Gunpowder, once upon a time, could have easily just been used for misdirection for illusionists.
Or fireworks.
Or fireworks. And eventually they were used for slug throwers. And yeah, that's a whole other thing. But that's the way that it works. These technologies that come along that we have absolutely no idea were even a thing once upon a time. And one of the ones that I keep coming back to is Brigid. You know, we've talked about this too damn many times to ignore. Once upon a time, there were only 4 fluids that were thought of as making the body work.
Mm-hmm.
And they might be.
Trying to remember off the top of my head when I was bile.
Humors.
Yeah, I mean there were the 4 humors, but I can't remember what they are off the top of my head.
That's okay. I was actually looking for the humors, but that's okay.
Bile, blood, water.
Phlegm.
Yeah, it was phlegm.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So once upon a time we thought that was the if you'll forgive me, the bleeding edge of medical knowledge.
Yep.
And then we found out that bleeding people out wasn't exactly the best way of curing diseases. What was bleeding really good for back in the day when it was the, if you'll excuse the expression, bleeding edge medical science?
Well, I mean, they used it for damn near everything.
Yeah, didn't they? Oh, I remember the book Treasure Island. They bloodlet one of the pirates because apparently he drank too much and he was suffering from alcohol poisoning. The only way they could get it out of his system was to allegedly bleed him out. I think that's what it was for.
So, just as an academic thing, bleeding somebody out in order to take some of the alcohol out of their body, that doesn't seem like it should work really well.
No, and all you're going to end up doing is you're going to end up anemic because, you know, severe blood loss. You're going to be weak, very weak. Probably end up dead because, you know, you kind of need that stuff. You know, contrary to what Al Bundy says, you cannot replace your blood with beer to keep your brain afloat. It doesn't work like that.
Good. Keep that in mind. But no, that was, you know, that was considered, you know, the leading edge of medical science. And then, as we've talked about before, you know, the idea of blood could be exchanged from one living being to another. And that was another one that we had talked about, Brigid, that exchanging blood from human to animal, specifically dogs.
Yep, that doesn't work either.
Yeah.
No.
And you think about, what was it, Charlie Sheen's whole thing? You know, I've got the blood of the tiger in me. No, you don't. Because if you did, you'd be dead.
Yep.
You know, cool as it sounds to, you know, maybe inject a little bit of that kind of stuff into your body and then, you know, I don't know, cat out a little bit. It sounds really cool, but no, you're just going to end up dead.
No, that's Brigid, follow. Yeah, that's not going to end well at all, is it?
No.
No, I didn't think so.
No.
You
I
know,
mean, we
just
have
like
cross-typing and things like that for a reason. And
Yeah.
that would be so you don't have all this coagulation going on and yeah.
Yeah, just like same reason, you know, if you're actually bitten by an irradiated spider, you're more likely to get tumas and die than you are to, you know, turn into some kind of arachnid mutant.
Yeah, there's a whole thing about that. Another time, off the track. Anyway, so the idea that magic is, well, synonymous with a miracle. Now, we like I was saying, the idea of a miracle is something that is supposed to be a changing. No, it's not changing the rules. It is creating an event that works counter to the laws of nature as they are understood. For a single instance, through divine intervention, which is probably a bad term for it, but we'll go with that in a second. So the idea that a god, doesn't matter which god, for all I know, it could be Feklar, but that's only a handful of people know who that is, and you're my people. You could pray to and say, please let this person not die of cancer. Please let the cancer just go away. And wow, look at that. They live, and cancer seems to be gone suddenly. Huh. Funny how that happens sometimes. So, let's, again, kind of run through part of this because, I know that she's going to have the answers, and I need to make sure about this one. So, first question, Brigid, is it possible for someone with cancer that's had it diagnosed and spotted on, let's say, like a CAT scan, to suddenly not have it show up on a CAT scan?
It's happened.
And then
not bloody likely, but it does happen.
No, it's true. And it is also, from what I've understood, is it not possible for cancer to simply, for at least a time period, just seem to spontaneously just go away?
Yeah. It's possible.
And when people don't follow up with a tried and true method of treatment for cancer, what is the usual outcome?
Usually they die a lot sooner than they ordinarily would have.
Now, when people go to, let's say, a Catholic hospital, because we know for well the Catholics have a very large grip on a lot of hospitals and medical organizations and a lot of towns these days. Now, one would expect that they would have people on staff who would pray for and or with the people who are there.
Yeah.
To the best of your knowledge, and I know that you don't exactly have the paperwork in front of you, but typically the people who try to go through oncology at Catholic hospitals, how much more divine intervention do they have compared to just secular hospitals?
I'd say zero. I would say absolutely zero. This is not related to oncology per se, but there have been studies done that when people know that other people are praying for them, they actually have a worse outcome for whatever reason.
Well, it's because they don't have to fight. Someone else is doing it for them.
Well, I guess. I mean, I don't know what that reason would be, but yeah, I mean, having divine intervention does not seem to be a real thing. It doesn't work.
And as we know for well, Joe, when you were fighting for your life there, I'm assuming that no light came out of the sky through the window and suddenly settled on you and made you look like you were a character out of Skyrim that was ready to give somebody a quest, right?
No.
No, you're just kind of there and sitting up and just kind of going, yeah, fix me up.
I'm pretty sure I was just really well drugged.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that I'm pretty sure that I'm paraphrasing you there just a little bit. Just a little bit.
And I know that whenever I died, I didn't see anything. I feel kind of ripped off.
Yep. And
some little light tunnels, something would have been really cool, but no, I didn't have that.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, Stephanie's got something over here. Intercessory prayer. I actually said that right. Go me. I mean, prayer's not a hard word to say, so, you know, whatever. And cardiovascular disease progression in a coronary care unit population, a randomized controlled trial from 1997 to 1999. What does all that gobbledygook mean? Somebody actually did a study. And actually said, let's find out what happens when we take the information that's been put together after the fact. Yeah. Nothing happens. Funny that. And yet there are still people who vociferously claim there are miracles happening all the time.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there was one patient that we had that ended up refusing any kind of treatment because God had healed her, and she was just convinced that God had healed her, and 2 weeks later she was dead.
Let me give you a couple
the doctors were like, I would not recommend withdrawing treatment at this time because you're not healed. And she's like, yes, I am. God healed me. So
yep. There is a question out there. Why doesn't God heal amputees?
Oh.
And it's a valid question.
It is.
It is just as valid a question as, excuse me, what does God need with a starship? There's also another question. Why don't the healing pastors, the ones who have these huge mega drives and go out there and perform psychic surgery and the such, why don't they go to hospitals and help the sick and the infirm? Those that need actual medical miracles to have happen. And I'm pretty sure that we know the answer to that. It's got everything to do with how I wrote it up in the show notes. It's a simple term with a complex word. Chicanery. If you can pull the wool over some people's eyes, and they're willing to go with it, and willing to give you money for the privilege of being screwed over, I'm sorry, to being lied to. Sorry, that was wrong. Also, fed a lie. Be healed on God's authority because you're wearing a beautiful pressed white suit, then you can have their money, and when something bad happens, well, sometimes this is the way that it works. Because God's ways are not our ways. And he decided that she needed to come home.
Yeah, there's no loss to the person making that claim.
Exactly. And how disgusting is it? I mean, I have to imagine, Joseph, that, you know, over these years and everything that you've seen, I mean, Peter Popoff being the first one that comes to mind, of course, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, just, you know, just basically people living at the expense of everybody else's.
Oh, here we go. Sorry, I was looking for when you said the whole "why doesn't God heal amputees?"
.com.
Yeah, and I remembered a particular loudmouth who decided that he was such a Christian genius, such an expert of theology, that he was able to say that the flood was able to create the Grand Canyon in about 5 minutes.
Oh, that old trope.
According to this guy, the reason God doesn't take care of the big stuff is because we're all supposed to die anyhow. That's why God doesn't heal amputees, cancer patients, stop pandemics, or smote those who carry out genocide, etc. He simply doesn't care because we're all dead to him because of the sins of Dirt Man and Rib Woman.
So, Daddy, is that the actual line that's there, quote unquote, dead to him? Or
it's
paraphrasing?
Well, it's a paraphrase from, like, somebody paraphrased it from a video, from the video that the guy made of it.
Okay, no, that's fine. It's fine because the Italian in me is, of course, hearing in my head, "You're dead to me." It could be Pacino. I having a hard time remembering. I know it wasn't Pesci. I'm pretty sure it wasn't. Yeah, it's something Pesci would say, though, wouldn't it?
Well, Pesci be more, okay. You're dead to me, all right?
Yeah. Anyway. So, Great Jeebus in the Sky says that we're basically dead to him anyway. So why bother doing anything to help out, because it doesn't help out when all is said and done. Wow. Dude, on behalf of all of us, and I know I don't speak for all of us very often, but I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna do it just this once. Oh wait, no, I've used shit. Screw you, man. Screw you.
Yeah.
See, I was gonna say go fuck yourself, but I think I've used that already too much, like a couple of weeks ago. So
but that particular individual, he went toe to toe with the wrong people on YouTube and lost horribly.
Meaning,
if you're trying to win an argument by throwing around false DMCA accusations, and the accused person happens to have an entire network of people who know that law forwards, backwards, left, right, inside out, upside down, and they go, "You're in the wrong, and this is what you're going to do." He was basically told to apologize, to make a video explaining that he was in the wrong and that he was committing a criminal act. And not too long after that, he kind of disappeared.
Yeah, for a little bit.
Yeah, word has it he's back in
he is
a much more limited capacity than he was before. Because hey, just like Hovland, you gotta pay them bills, and how do you pay them? Well, you do what you know. And if that means lying to people, then that's what you do.
Yeah. See, now I would like to be able to say that for some of these people, they're simply misinformed. But we know full well that there has to be a good number of these guys that are just willfully, yeah, I'm lying, but look at my car.
Yeah, I see. Yes, I'm lying, but I can profit off of it. So why should I stop?
Yeah. Yeah. And those are the most disgusting of people. And this is things.
It's not only religion though, but I mean, it's basically people making a living off of doing the least work possible.
Mm-hmm.
But see, but with religion though, it's not even that, because there is a certain amount of work that has to go into it.
Or making other people work for you. Well, come on, if you're going to compare, a preacher's work with the common laborer.
Oh no! With those that are obviously in it for the money, I'm going to differentiate it that way. For those that are obviously,
and you're right to do that.
Yes, for obviously in it for the money. no pun intended, Creflo Dollar, Peter Popoff, Jim Baker,
Joel Osteen.
Joel Osteen. All these guys were in it for the money because they've got gobs of money.
Yeah, if your church is on TV, you're not a minister. You're a charlatan.
Well, all right, wait a minute.
That's more the director class. Like, it's going back to my shepherd, sheepdog, and sheep analogy, because I mean, some preachers are the sheepdogs, which means they're the believers in chief, which means they're believers, but they direct all the sheep, the believers. But then the shepherds are telling the sheepdogs what to the orders. They're passing down the orders. So people like Creflo Dollar and probably Joel Osteen know full well everything they're saying is bullshit.
Yeah.
And but then you have people, I'd even argue that the Pope, he's like the top believer, which means I think he really believes. I mean, he's just been brought up, groomed, if you will, inside of a bubble, and they just elevate him to a lofty position, put him in a position of quote unquote power, because I don't think he's the one running the things. That's more an illusion than anything, because it's the cardinals who decide everything. But anyways, just putting him to the forefront as if he's running the show. But he's
the figurehead.
Yeah, he's a figurehead. So it's really important to differentiate between people who know full well why they do what they do, and then other people who make no decisions of their own, who follow.
Yep. But where I was going with it, though, as far as to how much work they put into it, there is a certain amount of work that has to be done as far as to trying to gauge who you're going to be able to, and this is going to sound really disgusting, who you're going to be able to fleece the most for the least amount of work for the biggest payoff.
But that's the beauty of the indoctrination machine, because it's self-perpetuating. It does all the work itself. Because if you rely on somebody else for survival, if you have kids, you have no other choice than to teach your kids to follow the same person as you do.
Yep. And the thing of it is, I had a thing with somebody earlier this week on Facebook about the idea of, I know it's an old-timey term for it, but casing a joint before hitting it. Because there's somebody that I know that was complaining that there was a coffee shop that they went to in downtown Manhattan, and they don't do cash transaction. It's all electronic. Card, tap to pay, that kind of thing, whatever. But they don't handle cash. And they'd complained about it, and they said, and part of the answer was that it makes the customers safer. And their whole thing was, why the hell would they be safer? I mean, that's a stupid thing. And for me, it's like, that's not stupid. If you know full well that if you carry cash, you have the potential for somebody to want to come in and take it by force from you, what are you really going to be able to do in reality? But if you're doing it electronically, if it's posted on the front door that you only do electronic transactions, somebody that's trying to make an easy hit is going to pass you over, because if you don't have cash, you don't have cash. Let's go 2 doors down to the bodega and we'll hit their cash register, and maybe they've got their safe open. That's an easy hit. And it's the same thing. If you know what your God, I can't believe I'm going to say it this way. If you know what it is that your marks are looking to get from you, what presentation, what flash and pomp and circumstance, so that they will willingly part with just a little bit more money, well, then you put a little bit of effort into figuring out, what are you supposed to say? What is going to be your next performance piece? And then you get your money in. tens of thousands of dollars at a clip.
It's pretty simple. Is that you have to make it sound like their quote unquote survival depends on it.
The fear part, yeah.
Yeah, well, it all comes down to that. I mean, the message has different forms, but I mean, yeah, it can be like I want to make a comparison. Like instinctively, the believer, and when they fear about going to hell, they're actually fearing for their own survival. So, if you want to broaden that past religion, you have to make that connection. Like the government, like Trump and everything, he can make you fear foreigners. He can make you fear, you know, the caravan and all that bullshit, you know. But that's people are afraid that their bubble is gonna be disturbed.
Yeah, but that's starting to get a little bit further into a cult of personality, which is not a bad analogy.
Not at all.
There's a lot between them two, but it's a different piece of where we're actually dealing with. I'm not saying that you're wrong at all. You're actually quite right, but yeah, we're definitely going to be handling that a little bit more later, because I didn't want to handle it just yet, because there's another piece after this. After the show that I want to specifically hit, and I'll kind of fill you guys in about it before we leave, so that I don't forget, because I kind of forgot about it when I was setting up the show. Sorry. Anyway, but the idea of claiming of miracles is really, really difficult to do these days, because we have so many opportunities to document friggin' everything. Back in the 70s, the big and previously, the big thing was Bigfoot and the Loch Ness Monster. And there were, for Loch Ness, there was the single photograph that was the grand poobah of all photographic evidence for Nessie, which we learned later was not true. And then we've got the one film from 73, I think is what it was. Short film that guy recorded that showed a humanoid figure walking through the woods out in the Pacific Northwest, big shaggy body, and then it was like all of 12 seconds worth of film, I think is what it was. Later was said, yeah, it was a complete hoax, and I was using something akin to a ghillie suit. Joey knows exactly what that is.
Yep.
And here's the receipt from the place that I rented it from, and the whole thing, and it was just a fluke. But yet people still want to believe, and that's the problem, right? They want to believe.
Why?
That's an excellent question. Why do you think? And I'm not saying it this way because I'm trying to be an asshole about it. I'm asking because I kind of get the funny feeling that you would probably have some kind of insight as to the why of that.
Not insight, but yeah. Well, it's oh, why would they want to believe? Well, Bigfoot is something else than Big Daddy upstairs. Why would somebody want to believe Bigfoot? Well, that's a good question. It's a complicated question.
Yeah, because
why would somebody want to believe in God? That's an easy one to answer. Because they're just afraid of their own. They haven't learned to deal with their own mortality. But Bigfoot and other conspiracy theories, like why. Yeah, it's complex. Bigfoot in particular. Like, why would somebody want to believe in the Loch Ness? Just to believe in miracles in general, maybe? To tie it back to what you were
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing that
Like miracles, these magic can happen to me too. I can have
Yeah.
anything I want.
Or
And
they
you just-
want to see, they want to bear witness to something that is completely away from the norm. Like Loch Ness Monster, if it is what everybody thinks it or speculates that it is, which is basically a plesiosaur, whatever, that has survived, you know, maybe not that particular one, but the species has survived even through the cataclysms of Earth, you know, Earth's life being wiped out.
Magical Leopleurodon, Charlie.
that's not we're not no. You should feel bad for that.
No.
But one of the reasons I asked why is because I don't have an answer to that.
Yeah.
No, that's okay. Keep going.
But I think it's because people just want to they want to bear witness they want to bear witness to something that does not follow the evolutionary model, or that does not follow the so-called predictability of the planet. Like, okay, look, you go on YouTube and you see, you know, there's a picture of a sinkhole in the middle of the ocean, you know, for some reason, or just some kind of phenomenon. Yeah, I was waiting for that. But something that is completely, it's explainable, but at the same time, it's jaw-dropping to witness. You know, it's like I said, I think we talked about this before, Mountain St. Helens. Now, there is no motion, there is no movie captured. There was no video captured of what exactly happened. But there were enough high-speed photographs taken of of what happened when basically the bulge pushed half the mountain face off of itself. Now, you guys all been to Colorado?
No. No, wait. Yes, sorry. Yes. It's been a long time.
Okay. Now, if I remember correctly, Colorado's a bit like where I live, in that if you look to the west, you see them, the Rockies. I live 2 hours away from basically being at the foot of the Rockies. I can see them from my house. Just trying to give you an idea of the scale of what we're talking about here. Like, they are freaking huge. Joseph, I don't know I want to say the Alps, but I could be completely missing it. But when I try to describe the majesty of a mountain, you kind of get what I'm talking about.
Well, yeah.
Okay. I know there's several nice mountain ranges over there. I wanted to go to a few of them. But my point is, if you're staring at one of these towers of rock, imagine in a matter of seconds, half of it just falls away and explodes. Like, the thing is, when the rock went over, it exposed the bulge, and then the bulge exploded, and you got the pyroclastic flow, which was the eruption. Now, the photographs that were taken, if you string them together, I think somebody actually did, was able to almost animate it.
Yeah, I remember.
So you can get a sense of this gigantic peak collapsing. Like, this is an awful lot of rock. You know, this is the Earth having a zit. Yeah, and honestly, I would almost say that if
I am so sorry that I gave.
No,
I'm so sorry.
But like, if I would wager that a lot of these Bigfoot chasers or Loch Ness Monster chasers, if they were there to witness something that is part of Earth's natural process, I think they'd finally realize that, you know, I don't have to go chasing for these imaginary things because the Earth can do this.
Would they?
I don't know. I'd like to think so.
Can I make another suggestion?
Sure.
It just that people want to believe things like this just to give credibility to the rest of the bullshit they've been told.
Well, funny enough, I've actually got
That's a fair point.
I've got a different piece on this one, but Brigid, I think that you had something.
Yeah, I think the whole explanation is a lot simpler than that. I think they're just looking for an escape from the mundane.
Yeah,
It's nothing is clear cut when it comes to human behavior.
No,
ain't
I
that the
think that's
case?
all they're looking for. It's just,
Well-
every day is boring, and this is something that's exciting or different.
and what I really
It's
love
like-
is when they try to, like the Bigfoot thing. Has anyone tried to pin this one on the government cover-up yet?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh God, yes. Oh, please. Let's not
Why?
even get into the bullshit about how they haven't been able to find the entire colony of Bigfoot because they dimensionally phase into the trees and use them as portals from one tree to another to get where they need to get.
What?
I kid you not. This is
Hold on.
actual bullshit.
Oh,
That
wait
is
a minute.
Yeah.
I thought I saw that in a movie once.
You might have.
No. Shit. It was an episode of Young Justice, I think.
Skeptic's Guide has already talked about it once upon a time ago.
Yeah, but no. There was one episode of Young Justice where Swamp Thing is able to do that, or not Swamp Thing, Man Thing,
Yeah, thank
because he's able to travel on the green,
Well,
which is
that's
like the planetary plant network.
Man thing?
And you don't even
Man,
have
bear, pig.
Okay.
and you don't even have to be a tardigrade to do it.
yeah. Funny, I was going to make the same damn joke about that. You
Yeah.
stole my thunder.
Somebody had
Too
to.
much pudding.
I almost.
Point for Joseph.
And
One pudding too many.
I'm grinning like an idiot.
okay, so Joey, was there anything that you wanted to comment on this one? Because I've got an idea that I want to pitch out at you guys.
No. I'm
Okay.
going to keep my comic book nerdiness to myself this time.
That's perfectly fine. Okay, so here's my idea about that. Because the whole Loch Ness Monster, Bigfoot, what were some of the other ones? Flat Earth, 9/11 truthers, Obama birthers, all of this stuff. I wonder if all of these miraculous items, miraculous bad in some cases for other things, is because these people want to be the special holdouts. They want to have the position of the saviors of, and you know how much I hate this word, truth. They want to be put up on a pedestal. They want to be aggrandized. They want to be special.
Yeah, they want to be the hero of their own story.
Yep.
Yeah, they could be. They want to be seen as leaders of something
They want to be the King Arthur to their own story.
without, of course, taking any responsibility of a leader.
I mean, a lot of these people have no idea what it means to be a leader. They think that you are just, your natural charisma, it can get you everywhere.
And they're
Yeah.
playing a role, basically,
Mhm.
as a lot of people are.
Yeah. And anybody that wants to go ahead and just think that they can get by on charisma alone, yeah, take it from somebody who does exactly that. You don't have what it takes to do that. I'm sorry, because if you did, you'd already be here on this show in my seat. And I'm sorry, this is my seat. Screw you, man. I got here first. Screw you. It's my
So
special-
leadership is a question of first.
No, it's a question of who's got the hat. I have the hat, so screw y'all.
You know, okay, if it was as simple as who has the hat, then the Pope would be a lot more powerful than he is.
Well, I mean, yeah, you're right, because the Pope would be a bishop and he only goes diagonally and the Queen can go any direction. Yeah, I see how it is. What? You actually got that joke. Thank you. Oh,
Yeah, you see,
thank you so much.
It's a chess joke.
I can't wait for somebody to come up with okay, so you know they've had Monopoly for millennials. Have you guys seen that? Now they need patriarchy chess. And instead of king and queen, it's king and pope. Because the king the pope basically controls the king. At least back in the day he did.
I would like to make an addition to that. It's the cardinals controlling the Pope, but hey.
Yeah, so why am I suddenly getting the name Richelieu in my head? I don't know.
Oh, yes, sir. Great example.
Yeah, there's some people who actually get that reference, and so help me. If you're thinking of Keith or Sutherland, so help me. I don't know if I should be upset or not at that because yeah, that's the
Gerard Depardieu for me.
Okay.
Sorry, what? Gerard Depardieu. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he was
Still alive?
I don't know, but he was Porthos in The Man in the Iron Mask.
Yeah, I used to see him all over the place in Opera. He had a wine store there. He also has a restaurant.
Not bad.
He does a little more than acting.
Well, can't say anything about that because I mean, Tim Horton was a hockey player, and now it's a coffee shop, so almost as important as wine.
Hey, Sammy Hagar.
Actually, it's more important than wine. I mean, you're allowed to have coffee in the morning.
Yeah.
I mean, well, you can have wine in the morning, but people look at you funny and say that you're lush, and take your card away so that you can't charge anything when you get to the store. They take away your car because
What are you talking
we're not talking about me. We're not talking about me. Go move it along for the Sammy Hagar. What about Sammy Hagar?
Oh no, same thing. Musician.
Yeah.
But opened up his own chain of restaurants and made his own tequila.
There. Okay.
Cabo Wabo.
Okay, there's that. Trump steaks? No, wait.
No, that's fail.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, I was gonna mention Dan Aykroyd and his vodka, but I don't think that's done very well for its. Anyway,
it would have done.
Dressing did well.
Hey, Dan Aykroyd's vodka would have done better if it wasn't $120 a bottle. Okay. Sorry.
Go with that.
Nothing that tastes like vodka should cost that much. Just kind of like this here is a 50-year-old single malt Scotch, blah 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 blah, aged in oak barrels, and it's a $5,000 bottle. I guarantee you take a shot of that, it's going to taste like tree bark. Why? Because that's what it tastes like.
Yeah, I don't like Scotch.
You know what? That's fine. More for the rest of us that drink it.
Yeah.
I don't. So you guys can have my share, whatever. And by the way, Felix, I'm thinking that hat makes him look like Santa Pimp. That's the point. Thank you.
It puts a whole new spin on ho ho ho, don't it?
It does. And honestly, truly, that was part of the reason why. For those of you that are listening and haven't seen it yet, that is the whole reason why I pull out this hat every year for exactly that reason. And let me tell you, the people that end up giving me that's a great hat, usually it's the older ladies more than anything else that are actually like, that's a great hat. It's like, yeah.
Actually, everybody, it's Shujin behind the whole elf on the shelf thing.
So if you go ahead and you tell everybody about it, so help me, I'm taking you the goddamn shit.
Stop doing that.
Will you stop? Shut up. Hi, everybody. I'm back. Thanks. So, but getting back to it in seriousness for a second, though, because we're doing good on time. The idea that people want to believe in a miracle because it makes them special because they've got a piece of information that other people don't have, and they can say up, down, left, right, and they don't have to. It's magic. Ain't got to explain shit. Sorry. It's a miracle. Ain't got to explain God. Well, because God doesn't leave.
But the thing is, there's a separation there between magic and miracle. And this is why God supposedly went after witches and so-called dark magic, because it was only good if it came from God. Yep. So somebody who was practicing, let's say, what they called alchemy, which was really just, putting the right stuff together to come up with that nice herbal tea that maybe made you poop a little bit better. That was witchcraft because it did not come from God. It was pagan. Therefore, it was sinful.
From God, I'd like to follow that rabbit hole a bit more, but God means of use to the church.
Fair point. Yep. But since
actually those witches and all that was the stand-in for science in the meantime in the brackets.
It was practical stuff, I mean.
And as far as to one of the earliest renditions of magic in the church, look to Moses throwing his staff and turning it into a serpent, which, by the way, is a really cool effect. But
please
everybody else
ask them to explain the difference between a miracle and magic.
See that exactly that. Now, continuing on, Dalan, because we're going to follow that one up in a second.
Can I finish? the difference? I have the answer to, is that just if it's magic when it's of no real use to the church. Again, so it comes back to the same thing.
Yeah. But okay, so let's drop the curtain again, so that you don't see the man behind the curtain. So what they would say would be that this trickery did not come from God because we don't feel God's presence in this. Translations, we're not the ones calling the shots. Therefore, we have to strong on this. Otherwise, it's a threat to our power.
Yeah.
But
of course, God is just a ventriloquist dummy.
Yeah, but they can't. They couldn't outright say that, because then this whole thing would have been blown apart years ago, and then you would have had that one, that one conspiracy theorist from 562 AD going, "I told thee so." Of course, that would have been great, wouldn't it? But no. Like, even look at Dungeons and Dragons. You have your mages and you have your clerics. Now, they both they both use magic, but the cleric's magic comes from their god, not from any other source. So there's a separation there between what we would consider magic and what would be considered a miracle, in that the miracle is magic that comes from the divine.
Well, that's their definition without defining it, because they never.
Yeah, exactly.
They never explain it.
Whereas for us, when we talk about magic, we've got two meanings that we can go with. Magic being otherwise known as illusion, legerdemain, sleight of hand.
Mm-hmm.
Pulling off something, making something appear to be in a way that it actually isn't through duplicity.
Yeah, distraction.
That's wow, duplicity.
Trickery.
I actually said that right. Trickery. The Amazing Randy famously, no, sorry, it wasn't Randy. It was Penn and Teller. Famously would tell people at the beginning of their shows, "We are here to trick you. We are here to lie to you, and you have paid us for the privilege for us to do it, and we're going to be honest about that." Which I always thought was like, wow, shit. You know what? He's right. They're going to be lying to the audience, but they're going to be honest and say, yes, we're going to be lying to you now. So that was good. But the other part of magic is the idea of making something happen through non-technological means that otherwise is unexplainable. Now, I'm probably giving it a really bad explanation, and I'm sorry for that. But the idea that...
Okay, yeah, sorry.
No, what was it?
Even in a miracle, there's a technique. It has to be done. It has to happen one way or another. It should be explainable. I mean, no.
Yeah, but with a miracle, it's done by the power of, as I've said it before, the great ultimate programmer. And if anybody's kind of getting the vibes from like Tron on this one, there's a good goddamn reason for it. No, I'm not going with the Matrix because screw that.
It's user intervention, so to speak.
Super user intervention, actually.
Yeah, it's the ultimate Control C.
Control C is that's a bad.
No,
you mean the ultimate sudo.
Same thing.
No, very much no.
No. Hold on. Control C breaks a program
right
in its process.
Right.
At which point you make a fix and you run. Again, you start it up again.
Okay.
Or if you're using basic, you can run starting at line number X.
Okay, that's one I was unfamiliar with. And then again, the last time I did programming on a basic was Combi 64, and that was a long time ago.
I'm reaching
Never mind, go on. Anyway, go on.
But no, and I guess sudo would work the same way, except there you're injecting something into a running program. Kind of.
Yeah, okay. Okay, we'll go with that. And Trippin? Yes. Trippin is asking something that I know a little something about because I was fascinated with Harry Houdini as a kid. Seriously. And Trippin was asking, didn't Houdini go around and call out so-called miracle workers? He went out and he debunked people who were doing seances and psychic surgeries. I think wait a second, was he doing that? No,
that's how he started his career.
Not psychic surgery at the time. But he was. What ended up happening was he kind of knew some of these techniques that were being used for seances, contacting the dead and the dearly departed, and he adored his mother. And he was devastated when she died. And he went to one of these seances to try to contact his mother and figured out they were just screwing with everybody. And he made it his mission to take down as many of them as he could. And he was good at it. And he had to go in costume and makeup so that he couldn't be recognized. Because when these groups saw him coming, they didn't want him in there, and they just didn't do it. But if they couldn't recognize who he was, so there you go. So yes, yeah. Eric Weiss.
The fact they wouldn't let him in, it kind of explains everything right there, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, he knew. He knew. I mean, that's the same reason why you don't have a card shark sit down at a table with a bunch of other card sharks, because they know what you're going to do because they've seen it. And like I said, that's also the reason why Penn and Teller doing the whole fool us is brilliant for them, because they know so many tricks, they know so many effects. They want to be amazed again by people that are putting more work into making things happen that they've not seen happen before. And for anybody that goes looking it up, and I should really see about putting it up in the show notes. There was one guy that fooled Penn and Teller with an Oreo cookie, and like I said, I'm gonna put it in the show notes. They should not have been fooled, and I am so disappointed that they were, because I figured it out. But that'll be for later. You guys can check that video later and tell me what you think in the notes. But that's all a thing for later. Houdini hung out with Aykroyd's grandfather. I don't know about that, but I know Houdini hung from his ankles a couple of times over in New York City and got out of a straitjacket. So he was a little bit weird that way. It's what he did on Saturdays. He was paid, but whatever. Anyway. So where are we at this point? Try to figure this part out. What is magic? What is a miracle? Magic? We know what magic is. Magic is a lie that someone who is very skilled at misdirecting you will call that effect. And a miracle? Well, that's supposed to be the big super user in the sky changing the parameters temporarily for you.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can say that God did it for me, you're the special. Oh my God. I'm channeling my inner Lego movie. You are the special. Wow. Crap, that's not even wrong. That is what it all comes down to, isn't it? God, that sucks. No, I'll tell you why. Brigid, I need you on this one for a second. Going back to the days before you deconverted.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God, this is going to sound so bad. Everybody, please forgive me for the way that I have to word this in order to get this out correctly. As a female in the church that you were in, as the female in the marriage in the church that you were in, your special place was as a breeder.
Mm-hmm.
This was considered a very high and lofty position, correct?
I don't know about high and lofty, but it was the position that was ordained for me.
Which, okay, let me reword it then. That made females special because you were the ones who would be bringing more soldiers, more quivers, for lack of a better way of putting it, into God's army.
More income.
Again, you have to act as though the curtain is still dropped.
Why?
Because they would never tell you the absolute truth.
I don't know that
we know.
special was the right word. It was just you knew that this was your obligation and you did it joyfully because that is what God demanded of you.
Right. And that's kind of the piece I was going for, because that's what God demanded of you. That's what you were told God demanded of you. And what was expected of all other women in marriages, not outside of marriages, in that group.
Right.
Because that was all the thing. But that position again, I'm probably using a really bad term for it. That puts you in a position of I'm trying to think of the right word for it. A special position of worth. And worth I'm using in air quotes here because like you said, if it was something that was specially ordained and specially expected and wanted, and it was only something that you could do, you kind of see where I'm going with this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping. Okay. So the reason why I'm going here is that, like we were saying before, that makes women in this specific organization valuable to the organization at large, if not to the individual. Sounds good so far?
Mm-hmm.
And to that end, makes you responsible for helping the group to further its own ends.
Yeah.
To be helpful to the rest of the group so that, yes, there will be an army and I'm the one that's helping to make that army happen. And I'll do everything that I can to make that happen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that's where the miracles come in, because then comes up the question of the miracle of childbirth. And doesn't that just layer all on top of itself from that?
Yeah. Gag.
Just had sex.
Yeah, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say it only because we need a little bit of levity right about now. About this point. Wait a minute.
But
It was
for some people,
The sex was no good, Joseph. Okay.
yeah, well, maybe for some people, even getting sex is a miracle. So
it would be at this point. You know, that's a whole. You know what? I'm not gonna say it because now is not the right time. We'll do it for later. The point that I'm trying to get to the whole damn thing is, for your group, for your social circle, deranged that it might be from our outside perspective on it now, it made girls, women, feel that they were special and that they had a position that only they could fulfill the needed piece, and it was by that miracle of childbirth that they could fulfill that, and it made them the special.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going with this so far, right?
Mm-hmm.
oh, just because the entire goal, somebody who depends on somebody else for their own survival is their biggest question is, am I doing it right? And they need the approval of whoever they've chosen as a leader, whatever, guide. So in fulfilling that role, they're doing that.
Okay. So here's why I'm trying to piece that one together and kind of go with you on this one. If somebody believes, back up a second. If someone says that something special happened to them, the sun stood still in the sky and didn't move because we were told by God that it was going to happen that way, which is a story from history. People said happened, kids, but whatever. If there was a story that someone told that a leper was healed just because they came into contact with somebody, if there was a story that someone saw a primitive form of life that we have not seen before and cannot account for in the current scientific system and can no longer find. But you saw it, and only you saw it. Or only you saw the person get better. Or only you saw the sun stay up overhead. That makes that person the special. And that makes that person the center of attention. And here's the last piece that I want to throw at you guys because of that. Is that not motivation enough for some people to go ahead and just, let's just call it what it is, lie about there being something supernatural that happened because nobody else can prove them wrong? Brigid, I'll start with you because I was hammering you on this one. It makes you guys the center of attention, whether you like it or not, until your uterus falls out. Is that not reason enough to go ahead and say that this is what you're supposed to be because patriarchy and overtake everybody by breeding them out?
Yeah. And that's what we were told to do.
What's the equivalent of good boy? Just saying good boy, and everybody sees that you're being approved. You're getting a pat on the head. That you're doing the right thing.
Saying that person's so godly.
Yeah, it's the same all along the line.
Yeah.
Am I doing it right? And that's why people keep going to church every week, because they're kept in suspense of, they're made to doubt themselves whether I'm doing it right. Am I doing it right? Am I doing it right? Am I doing it right?
Well, there was also excitement about world's about to end any moment now.
Oh,
Look at all these things that are happening. So.
But fear is exciting.
Yeah.
You know what? Shit. There's too many things running through my head, and I'm getting into a perverse mode, and I really don't want to end that way. So I'm not going to say anything. Damn it.
Define perverse.
Fear is an exciting thing. Just fine. The first thing that was coming through my head was, okay, fine. So erotic asphyxiation is one of those things that we could be talking about right about now, but we don't have anybody on the panel that can properly talk about it because I don't want to be the only one that actually knows what I'm talking about. God damn it, I don't want to talk about this now. Hi.
I have no experience with it, so I cannot comment.
I don't know if I believe you or not, but I'm going to take your word. Yeah, and don't you damn say a word otherwise.
Well, I was going to say she's probably had no experience of it personally, but who knows what she's seen where she works? I don't know.
I mean, personally, I've never done that. So, and you can ask Daryl Ray; he can back me up on that.
I don't think that you're married to Daryl Ray, and I don't. Not. You know what? I don't.
You know, you were talking a minute ago about the whole end of the world thing. It was going to happen, on this day.
Well, we didn't have a specific day. It's just there's all these signs that are everywhere. Just look.
Yeah. Well, it reminded me of guys like Harold Camping.
Oh God,
the Rapture guy, or the fact that a Texas license plate should have as its subtext any day now, because apparently everybody in Texas is waiting for the Rapture, which is why they're not bothering to fix anything because God's coming, right?
Yeah, any day now.
But it reminded me of something I saw on Steam today. It's a new game, and it's called Rapture's Rejects.
Ooh.
It's done by the same guys who do what is it? I can't remember the name of the cartoon, like Cyanide and Bubblegum or something like that. It's
Cyanide.
Love and
Cyanide.
Cyanide.
sorry.
Cyanide
Cyanide.
and happiness.
Oh
Yeah.
yes,
Thank you.
that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's done in that art style,
Yes.
and it's an isometric top down, kind of like Diablo. It's basically you against 100 other people in a battle royale, and the winner gets the one golden ticket that will have them be forgiven and go to heaven.
Oh.
Sounds like the Mormons.
I saw
or
that.
is it- Or is it the Mormons? I may be wrong. Maybe there's only a select few. First, they have to sacrifice the Jews. Then they have to, then they're in an all-out competition to have
there's the
very few
44,000.
seats.
Yes,
The
yes.
Sky Bus.
You may have guessed already. I'm the devil. You can call me Toby.
Hmm.
Yes, Christians, if you would come this way. Yes, it turns out the Jews were right.
By the way, for anybody that's watching currently, because if you're listening after the fact, sorry, I just pulled it up. Raptor Rejects is play for free, ends in approximately 13 hours from our recording time. So,
Yes.
sorry.
Yes, rapists and adulterers. Yes, just form a line in front of that little guillotine there.
And the French over there with the Germans. I'm sure we have lots to talk about.
Rowan
I
Atkinson.
Yeah, I don't really want to be over there with the little guillotine. Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
That
Yeah.
was a perfect
God, now all of a sudden, I'm seeing a Rabbi Tuckman from Robin Hood Men in Tights.
I do hope that you've read your Bibles and, preempted before you came here, because if you read your Bible, it'll tell you that it's damnation without relief.
Well, what's the commercial plop fizz?
Oh, Alka-Seltzer.
I thought that was a squatty potty.
I know, and I only know that one because I've actually had to pop a couple of those the past couple of nights because I've had really bad heartburn.
That's good ice cream.
Yeah, see, Brigid caught it. She heard. I heard you.
I did. That's horrible.
You're welcome. There's some people that are going to be commenting on the video later.
And heartburn, isn't it just an ulcer?
No.
No, I'm not nearly that stressed. I can. There is a positive correlation to my eating spicy food and getting heartburn.
Yeah,
And too much pudding.
No, too much pudding has a completely different effect. Ask Socrates.
We'll see about
That's why they
Socrates
killed him.
later. That's not why they killed him. Anyway, any last items that anybody wants to say because we're getting close,
Already?
close. Well, it's been 2 hours, whether you think that it has been or not.
Yeah, like I said before the show, time is relative.
Yes, it is. And the relative part for me is, my relative is going to be going to see Hamilton today, and I have to be awake in order to get him to friend's house. So I have to wake up in 8 hours.
Oh my god. I think I slept 5 hours last night.
Yeah, I had less than that. Yes. Anyway, I'm sorry. Off the topic. Last items for anybody because why not? Don't all go ahead at once. Joey, you know what? You've been quiet. Anything?
Mostly because I've been stuffing my face.
That's fine.
Like I said at the start of the show, I just pulled 2 big trays out of the oven. One was a triple helping of lemon pepper chicken, and the other was a decent sized helping of seasoned salt potatoes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds yummy.
I'm a simple man. But damn, what was our topic tonight? We kind of went all over the place here in the last.
You know what? I'm gonna come out and say it. You know what? I'd like to think that once upon a time there was real magic in the world. Largely because it was kind of cool. But what I see, what we're able to do with science these days, and that we're able to see things that we can't quite explain yet, but knowing that we're almost there, I believe in that a lot more. Something doesn't have to be unexplainable to be magical to me. It just has to be something completely unexpected, completely explainable, completely falling in the laws of science, physics, and nature as we know it. But still a 1 in a million thing that if you can see it once, it's magical. That's my thought.
I can't close with one thing that, magic is basically, I'm getting kind of tired of my repeating myself, but it's always going back to survival instinct, is that, we'd love to have the option to have whatever we want, whenever we want, and to be as comfortable as possible. And believing that that's possible, like even as a kid, imagining we have superpowers. That's a great example of that. Just making believe that kind of thing is accessible. Well, it's kind of a comfort.
Brigid, anything left over for you at this point?
No.
Okay.
Did I just drop another lead balloon?
No. It's all good. And Joey, I know that you just gave me a pain in the ass. No,
I just what? No, I don't know what to say right now. You know, I got a face. Fine. I get a face full of chicken and potato. Leave me alone.
Okay, it's perfectly fine.
I've had a very busy week. So I'm sorry that the only time I could actually fit in time to eat today was during the show, but hey.
It's fine. It's fine. So here's oh, by the way, Trippin has also, by the way, said tablespoon of baking soda in a cup of water helps with my heartburn. Yep. That if it's heartburn, which is acid reflux, that's doable. If, however, it's your bile duct getting stuffed up with gallstones, that's not going to help. I'm just saying from experience.
Now you see.
And if it's thermite, please stop hanging out with Adam Savage.
Yeah. Okay, not quite going with the thermite thing, but as far as number 2 goes there, I don't have to worry about that anymore.
Yeah, well, that's a whole other thing. But yeah. The idea when you suddenly find out that what you had wasn't heartburn and it was your body trying to digest itself from the inside out, let me tell you, that goes over real great when you're laying there in the hospital and the doctor's trying to explain to you what happened to you. Anyway, that's not to do with the topic. Let me dovetail off of something that Dalan had said, that it is just, you can have something explainable and yet still be magical. And there are a couple of things that I thought about instantly. Being in an area with no or very little light pollution and setting up a camera to take pictures of the sky so that you can see the Milky Way in all its grandeur and glory.
I did that 3 weeks ago.
You're lucky. But there's one other one that I've heard of that I've seen video of because I've not seen this one personally myself. And it's something called the green flash. It is possible at certain times on the ocean to watch the sun go down over the horizon, and if you're lucky, you will have the orange, red light of the sun at the horizon suddenly become a green flash for just a moment. It's a color that we otherwise never see. It's always white, yellow, orange, red as it goes down. But green, that's a magical thing that very rarely happens. I should be so lucky to one of these days be able to see it. Do we know how that happens? Yes. Does it change the fact that it's an absolutely magical event? It's magical because it's so rare. Because it makes us special for having seen it.
Is this the end for the boy wonder? Will the Riddler succeed in his nefarious plot?
Now, see, now I've got Frank Gorshin's laugh in my head, and I can't do his laugh justice, and I'm not even going to try. So with that, it's time to call it to a night. Thank you, everybody, for being with us tonight. As always, we hope that you had yourself a great time and found something worthwhile in all of our perspectives and got something to think about for yourselves. So let's go ahead and say goodnight around the board. Good night, Guinness. I hardly knew you. Oh, it was good. Believe it or not, I don't seem to mind the Guinness. So after I'm done with the last can, of which I've got one left, am I going to specifically pick it for myself again? Probably not, but that's okay. It's mainly because I've still got a whole bunch of wine and I'm really behind on drinking wine. I should really pick up the pace on that. That's another thing for later. All of you guys over there in the live chat, Trippin, Stephanie, Fearless. That was all. Thank you guys, of course, as always. For the crew, thank you very much. Joseph, thank you for making it through, and you have yourself a good rest of your morning.
You too, sir. Thanks for having me on.
Always a pleasure. Joey, you go and have fun battling the cat for whatever's left of the food afterwards, I guess. I don't know.
No, he likes to believe that he's starving. He's never starved a day under this roof, but he thinks he's starving.
They all do.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but we'll come to that in a second.
Dear diary, it has come to my attention that my food bowl is half empty, and I shall soon starve to death. I have tried to alert the authorities, but they are either stupid or I can't remember the rest.
Oh God, I know what that's from. I'll have to find it.
This may be my last entry.
Try to find that. Thank you very much for your time, man. Brigid, thank you. I'm glad you were able to make it to the end, and your tiny little terrors did not interfere with anything tonight. So, yay!
I don't know where they are. They're probably asleep, which is good.
They're lying in wait.
That would be bad.
They're upstairs on the laptop ordering shit.
Because they know you're busy.
The cats do that. They order Domino's, I swear.
Keep that in mind. If anybody wants to find you,
you can find me on Facebook. My name is Brigid Fitch. Or you can find me at my blog at brigidfitch2112.wordpress.com.
Thank you, man. You take care of yourself.
You do.
Dalan, oh, good Lord. It's not been nearly cold enough yet, hasn't it?
No, no regrets so far.
We'll see how that plays out. Well, I'm joking about this because we joke about Yellowknife, and
don't go putting that juju on me right now. We actually have some decent. I won't say warm weather, but we have warm-ish weather for the season right now, and I need it to stay that way at least for a few more days because I've got to replace. I got to replace.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. If you're telling us, don't put the juju, don't talk about it, don't tempt the Greek god Murphy, just Okay. Dalan, thanks for being on.
No problem. Of course, if looking at our faces is somewhat offensive to you, you can always check out the audio version of this show over at holycrapthevlogcast.com. And if I ever get the brainwave that I want to write something down that might not fit in with everything else, you can catch it over at inthewind.yo5.ca.
Thank you, man. And just for the just because I think I should really ask it, you actually believe in, well, I don't know how to basically word this. You believe in abject slavery, don't you? Because I'm looking at your clock and you still are treating that thing like some poor bastard stepchild that still doesn't have a new battery in it. It feels so bad looking over at that poor thing, and I think you've just got to be whipping that thing and telling it, give me the information I need. You just go back to sleep. Over your shoulder.
I know the clock you're talking about. And that's not even close.
I'm trying to convince people to actually come over and see what I'm talking about. It's a thing. It's a gimmick. Shh.
Whispering is contagious.
So you're saying next week I shouldn't have the battery replaced? Is that it?
I see dead people.
It's free real estate.
I wonder how many other podcasts have actually people whispering on it.
You know what? I don't care. I don't care. Got to do something to bring up the numbers. We've got numbers.
Only at Shujin's.
I've been a guest on 2 other podcasts. Neither one of them even remotely related to what we talk about on here. So
no, of course not. Anyway, so thank you everybody for joining us. I hope that you had yourself a good time. Of course, just swing over to YouTube so you can see some of the stuff that's going on. And if you stop over YouTube, you can have one of these. I got a bunch of them. It's Christmas season. I'll hand them out every time I can.
Oh.
I'll actually save several of them for the Speaker of the House because sorry. I'm gonna be nice because the fat man's coming. I gotta be nice.
Which Speaker of the House? You mean Pelosi?
No, I don't want. There's things. I don't want to do this now. I want to do this now. We'll do this later. I promise. We'll do this later. The show stuff that you people are going to want, take a swing over to holycrapthevlogcast.com. Everything that you need is over there for contacting us. Plus, if you want to leave us a voicemail message, phone number is 859-HCTV-554, 859-4288-554. And if you want to help us out, of course, you can always donate over at patreon.com/HCTV, and we'll just put that into the hosting for the show. We appreciate that. I did say earlier that there was a topic that I wanted to cover that I was thinking about covering tonight, and I forgot about doing it, but I'm going to say it so that I don't forget it for next week. I got to find out who it was that put it up there, but somebody had put up a Facebook poll to find out, and I'm going to paraphrase it. If you could put out information that would bring down Donald Trump, but you knew the information was wrong, but you also knew that bringing down Donald Trump would save a lot of people a lot of heat and a lot of grief. Again, I'm paraphrasing. Would you do it? And the straw poll, admittedly, this is not the greatest poll in the world, came down as, for the majority of people, something along the lines of 65-35 or so, said, if I knew that it was a lie, no, I would not do it. Even if it would be helping people. And I want to talk about that, even though this kind of steps on some stuff that we talked about before. I want to see if I can get who it was that put the poll out, because I got to find it again, and I'm going to see if I can convince Courtney, Dr. Nuka, to come back and talk with us a little bit if possible. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get them, but I'm going to see about getting the word out over there, because if there's anybody that I know who knows about how people operate and think as a culture and collective, I think he's probably one of the few people that we can call on who's not going to be completely put off and doesn't have to sign a paperwork that says, yes, I put in my community service this week. We'll see from there.
I remember seeing that poll.
Yeah, and we just got to track it down, and we'll link it over on the Facebook feed, and we'll get you guys information about that, and I'll see about lining this up a little bit.
Sounds interesting.
It really was, and Trippin had also just asked, why not no other president has lied as much as Trumpsky? We'll talk about that next week, because I don't want to talk about it now and get it started, but believe me when I tell you, I already have my thoughts about it, and I read a lot of the stuff that people had written, and I agree with a lot of them, and I understand a lot of them. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to talk about that one ourselves later, once I got the information for you. But otherwise, we got to get out of here, because I've got notes to get, and we're a little over time. So you all have yourselves a great night. Dalan is sticking up for himself over in the live chat now, so thank you. But otherwise, please all take very good care of yourselves. And if you're in an area where the temperatures are getting up and down and up and down and up and down, please, safe travels. Please, safe travels. Till the next time we get together, everybody, as always, I wish you the peace I no longer have. I wish you the strength that I've learned. I wish you well. Whatever holidays you celebrate this season, I hope they're enjoyable for you. And of course, my lady, 13 years on, I am still in love. Not today. Shujin, I love you. I miss you. Dream of me. Till the next time we get together, everybody, as always, good night.